tangles and the mats. I'm going to make 2 sections about this because it's a little bit of a bigger topic. The first one is going to be tricky spots on the body. The second is the way we search for tangles and mats. In the first one, we're going to talk about how to reach areas, private areas, sensitive areas, frequently rubbed areas, all the ones which we were talking about in the hair tangling elf section. In the second one, we're going to talk about when to search for tangles and mats and what kind of equipment should we use for searching for tangles and mats and how to use them. So let's jump in. Here you see an image. Let's start with that because everyone is freaking out about it. This is an image about a doggy who got brushed only the easiest areas, but they did a great job there. The problem comes because there are other areas on the doodle which really needs to be brushed and combed out. So let's talk about those. Which are the hard to reach areas? The private area needs to be brushed as well. The sensitive skin areas need to be brushed as well. Frequently rubbed spots, sweet spots under the collar, harness, clothes, bandanas, whatnot. So the tricky areas on the doggy, let's start with the face. We need to brush the muzzle, the cheek, the chin, ears, inside and outside, behind the ears and top of the head. All that really needs to be suctioned out. So you're not just brushing the doggy's head, but you are working on detailed spots. So you're not going to miss out anything. Oftentimes I see this mistake from parents that they brush the doggy's ears on the top and that's it. They do not follow up on the ear leather, nor on the inner side, nor the tip of the ear. So keeping all of those in mind is very helpful. Feet. There is a hole on the leg which needs to be addressed. It's like 2-3 inches actually on the front leg. On a standard size doodle, I would say about 4 or 5 inches from the feet. And on the hind legs, it's like 6, maybe 7 inches from the feet. And we really need to brush those areas out and hold the skin and twist it a little bit so the skin will come out with the hair from the little hole and we can brush it. It gets so matted. I have no idea why, but it's crazy. On the feet, on legs, the areas where they bend. The reason for that is because, for example, on the feet, where it bends, it straightens up to continue as the leg itself. We forgot to brush that. We just skip it. So we need to lift the leg up and brush the feet with the area where it bends to 90 degrees. So that spot will be covered as well. We need to pay attention to toe mohawks and puppet boomerangs we were talking about. Fanny area. We need to keep an eye out for the pee-pee area and the poop section and the balls area or leftover balls area. Vagina, vulva situation needs to be addressed as well. And the surroundings, like the inner thighs. On the legs, we need to brush the inside, outside, front side of the leg, and back side of the leg. There is a spot I was talking about around the feet area. I call it the hoka hole because it's a hole on the hind leg about 6-7 inches from the foot, the hind foot, and it gets really rarely it rarely ever gets the attention it needs. And on the front side, I call that little hole I was talking about wrist groove. These are new names I had to come up with because it's just way too tricky to describe them. So we need to pay attention to those as well. On the sides, left side, right side. Sometimes we forget one side because the way we are sitting on the couch gets more frequently brushed than the other one because we are facing to the TV this way. And it's hard to switch spots because that's our spouse's favorite spot. Who doesn't want to brush the doggy? So, and that's why I'm talking about both sides, because sometimes we are working on one side more frequently. belly tight flap. That's another name I had to come up with. You can see the doggy's vest on the right side here, that there is a really sensitive and soft skin joining the thighs and the side of the doggy, the hip area. Now that spot barely ever gets brushed out because it's closer to the skin. I mean, closer to the body. It's like the hip area, the waist area for the doggy, and we just skip it. It's inner closer together, so the side kind of covers it up, and we just forget to go in there, but we really need to. The belly area. It's full with nipples, I know, but we really need to brush the belly area as well. The back, it's obvious, that's why it's one of the last ones. Everybody brushes the back. It's no problem. Neck area. We need to brush the neck area, left side, right side, top and bottom. I oftentimes describe the way I go about this doggy mat map when I'm working on that, or the way I'm brushing and combing, is I'm thinking about brushing and combing robo-doodle. It's a square thing. It has sides, right side, left side, top and bottom. And it has edges. So as long as I'm brushing all sides and the edges, I'm going to be good to go. And it's on all body parts. Let it be legs, front legs, hind legs, tail, neck, the body area, ears, face, muzzle. Everything has a top, a bottom, a left side, a right side, and front and back. So as long as you follow this, it's going to be perfect. Tail. Oftentimes, doggies are sitting while you are brushing, and we totally forget about the tail, which will end up in one ginormous bunch of mat. So we need to pay attention to the left side, the right side, the top and the bottom, and the base of the tail. It's critical because sometimes doggies chew around the butt area and make a big mess around that spot. So keep an eye out for the base of the tail, on the top, on the bottom, and on both sides. Armpits. We totally forget the armpits. Most of the time, I trim the coat around the armpits nice and short, so you don't have to really worry about it much at all. But we still need to keep an eye on it because the harness can cause craziness around there. Butt area. Oftentimes doggies are sitting. That's another critical thing. We either forget or kind of avoid that area because it has kind of the private features there, and we are afraid of brushing the doggy around that spot. So that's why I wanted to mention that with the tricks we were talking about in the brushing section, the how to do it in practice part, then you're going to know how to approach the butt area with the sensitive features there, so you can do that as well. Searching for tangles and mats. When to search for tangles and mats? It's a critical question because I was thinking about it, so I will say we can screw it up big time in case we are not searching for tangles and mats at the right time. When is the right time? Meanwhile or after brushing? When you're running the brush through the coat, you are searching for tangles and mats all the time. Before the bath. Critical. I see so many mistakes from first-timer clients that they bathe the doggy before they would give them a brush out or a comb out. Crazy. All the tangles and mats will go way tighter than they were before, probably closer to the non-brushable section, then closer to the okay, it's fine section. So before the bath, I call it brush before the wash. Before swim time, pool, creek, lake, whatever. If you have a pool at home, amazing. But the amount of work which comes with this, in case you're keeping your doggy in a longer coat, is amazing as well. So make sure you're paying attention and search for tangles and mats and a good brush out before pool time, creek time, lake time. Before snow time. If you take your doggy to a winter vacation, Then you're gonna get exposed to some snow time. That's amazing. They're gonna love it. Most of the doggies go wild and love to run after snowballs you throw them. But the coat will look crazy unless it's absolutely brushed out before you expose your doggy to the snow time. You can put doggy clothes on, but remember, doggy clothes are hair tangling galbs as well, as just as like the snow is. So anything rubbing against the coat, you want to keep an eye out for tangles and mats. Before surgery, critical. You really want to make sure that your doggy goes into surgery tangle and mat free if at all possible. Before boarding, that's another happening whenever you go for a vacation and you're not taking your doggy with you. But you really have to make sure that the doggy is absolutely brushed out, tangled, and mat free. For surgeries and boarding, I recommend to get a shorter trim so you don't have to worry about it, because we never know how the surgery and the boarding will go. Oftentimes, boarding facilities have no idea how to brush the doggy. They are not brushing the doggy. Doggy gets exposed to water or snow time or other puppies and fun runs and mud. And they are not getting brushed for a few days, a week, 2 weeks, as long as you are away. They get a bath afterwards before they would go home, and the complete mess is absolutely done. So make sure that you're talking and negotiating with the boarding facility. And if you can, before the surgery, talk about this with your groomer and then, or do it yourself. And that way your doggy is going to be absolutely comfortable. Frequently, when exposed to puppies and a lot of playtime, like daycare, getting a new puppy. Basically, whenever you get your doggy exposed to hair tangling elves, that's time to search for tangles and mats. What to use for searching for tangles and mats? I prefer 3 out of these because slicker brush is perfect. The sound of the brush when the coat is brushed, when the coat is being brushed, sound of the brush when getting stuck in a tangle and mat. Both those sounds are different. And in the videos, you hear me doing both 2 sounds. With the slicker brush, you can detect tangles and mats, both actually. It will give you a different sound. With the comb, you can also find tangles and mats. It's not going to give you a sound. You need to pay attention to the signals of the comb getting stuck in the coat and be gentle enough so it's not going to be your doggy biting at the comb or you, because it's painful. So make sure that you're using the comb in a gentle way, and when it gets stuck, you go back to the slicker brush to resolve the situation. Blow dryer. I love the small and the high velocity blow dryer for finding tangles and mats. The small one is great for light coated doggies, puppies, short haired dogs. That will do the job. In case your doggy has a longer coat or heavier coat, then you're gonna need the big gun, the high velocity blow dryer. That will have enough force to open up the coat, and so you can see everything, and not just see, but meanwhile you're doing it, you can actually open the slight tangles up, so you don't have to worry about brushing the doggy. We're gonna talk about I call it the 1 minute brush out, and we're gonna learn how to perform that in the advanced course, because there are a few tricks you need to do with the high velocity blow dryer so your doggy won't freak out and they're gonna love it. Our fingers. Oftentimes, parents use their fingers to find tangles and mats. Now, the problem with that is you're going to find tangles and mats at the time when it's a full-blown craziness on your doggy. Our fingers are not sensitive enough to find the tangles and mats while they are tiny, and it's critical to find them while they are tiny, because while they are tiny, we can work on them the gentle way, super easy, super fast. Your doggy won't even notice that you are opening up tangles and even slider mats. But in case we leave it in and we just rub the coat with our fingers, we're gonna find them by the time they're gonna be ginormous, and then we're gonna be like, oops, they developed from one day to the next. And actually they didn't, but we just found them one day to the next because we were not using the right equipment. So our fingers are not a good equipment to find tangles and mats. I don't want you to use them, okay? what to do when we find tangles or crinkles. There are a few ways I really like to make, especially for beginners. I really highly recommend to make a doodle mat map. That means you're gonna have the attachment, the images attached in an attachment, and you're gonna be able to make notes where you find and what kind of mats. And you can make notes how crazy those mats are, and you can determine with dimensions you were noting or jotting down about the mats and tangles whether they are brushable or whether they need a serious dematting or a haircut on those areas. And then you can decide whether you or your groomer will do it. Tangles and crinkles are brushable, so use a silica brush, or you can take your doodle to get a brush out only if you are having hard times. For example, in case on the doodle mat map you see that your whole doggy has quite a lot of tangles and you just had a baby and you don't have time to do that, then you will know what your doggy's needs are, and then you can request your groomer or a friend who has some time and knows what she's doing or he's doing and can help you out. Or you just go straight to the groomer in case they are available. So either way, you're going to be able to fulfill your doggy's grooming needs. You can also use the blow dryer to detangle. Small walks for puppies with light, the small blow dryer works for puppies with light coat, and the high velocity blow dryer will work perfectly for heavier, longer coats like winter coat for adults, and especially works amazing for crinkles. So either way, with either method you will go, you're going to be able to succeed, and you're going to have your doggy comfortable. Now, what to do when you find mats? I like to go with the same method. Go ahead and do a doodle mat map. We're going to talk about the details, what to write down in a second on the next slide, I think. And you can determine whether the tangles and mats are brushable or not. In case they are brushable and you're feeling adventurous enough to do it yourself, you absolutely can, or you can have your groomer do it. And in case they are borderline or straight up crazy, then you can learn how to do it, or you can ask your groomer or a friend who knows what she or he is doing and get it done that way. Either way is totally fine. I just want to build awareness in you that whenever you are checking your doodle, you're going to know what the coat situation is, so you're not going to be surprised like, oh, I woke up with the doggy absolutely totally tangled and matted, like super tight from the tip of the nose to the tip of the tail, and then there's nothing you can do about it except for waiting to the hair to grow back after a short shave. So these are the steps I really like, and I prefer to go about tangles and mats when you find them. And the doodle mat map. What can we write down about tangles and mats to make sure that we know what the hair situation is on the dog? The parameters, what we were talking about before about tangles and mats in the previous lesson. Size of the mat. You can write down, like, for example, you can use these parameters like less than 1/2 inch wide, or about 1 inch wide, or size using how many palm surfaces would it cover on the doggy in case it's going wild. You can use your palm as a reference. Location of the mat on the doodle's body. It's critical because in case your doggy is matted around the butt area and she doesn't let you go near the butt area, then situation, you are in trouble. It's a critical thingy and you need solution. So it's critical to write down which areas are the mats on the doggy's body. You can mark, circle, color the location of the mat on the doodle body drawings. Whatever the signs you want to use it. It's totally up to you. You can customize it whatever the way you want. Location of the mats on the hair length. It's critical to know because the closer you are to the skin, the harder and the more precise work it needs from you or from the care provider. In case the mats are very, very, very super close to the skin, then you might gonna need to use a hair clipper. in case they are closer to the skin, but there is no way you can get a good grip between that comfort grip we were talking about between the mat and the skin. That's a tricky situation as well. You really need a lot of confidence and precision to be able to navigate the shear around those areas without cutting in the skin. We're going to talk about how to deal with these two tricky cases in the advanced course when we are getting confident about using the shear, and we're going to learn how to do that ourselves. Further from the skin, whenever there's a comfort grip and you can snip them out, it's going to be perfectly easy. You can do it yourself. It does not need a lot of training. You can just keep your fingers between the skin and the mat, the base of the mat, and then you can snip out the mat with no problem. How tight they are, it's really important to know, because in case there are 3 super tight ones on the body, you can cut them out no problem, especially in case they are further away from the skin. But in case you have fairly like medium tight all over the body, that's going to take you like 2 hours just to brush out the doggy. So you need to plan ahead in case you want to go that way. And in case your doggy really hates to be brushed out, then that might not going to be the first choice I would go with in that situation. It does not matter that you never can use or do a brush out on your doggy, but they need to be desensitized before. In case they are already tangled and matted, that's not the time to desensitize doggy to that. You need a short shave and a clean cut, and then go from there and build up the trust and confidence in the doggy and in you about brushing as well. How tight they are. Easy to brush, takes longer to brush, hard to brush, not coming apart at all. You can use your fingers to pull tangles and mats apart and see how easy it is to open them up. In case you spend like a minute on one single mat and you find like 10 on the body, it's no big deal. That's like 10 minutes of a job. But in case you spend like 10 minutes on one mat and it opens up, amazing, but you have 152 on the doggy, then it's gonna take a while. It's not impossible though. In case you cut it up in smaller sections, it still can be done. But you need to plan ahead to make sure that you are saving the code in a way that your doggy will still come to you after you're done. Doodle's cooperation. We need to put into perspective how much our doggy loves to spend time around us and around the brush. Stay still for brushing or dematting. That's perfect. Needs exercise and breaks before and between, but can succeed in a few sessions the same day. That's also awesome. Still, I would probably add a little bit of practice to desensitize the doggy and get them used to detangling and dematting. But that's amazing. You can split up the grooming sections in smaller parts, and then you're going to be totally good to go. Not cooperating. The situation is in case the doggy is not happy about dematting at all. It can be because they are not okay with the environment, they are not okay with the equipment, they are in pain for whatever other reason, like they have a sticker burr in their paw and then they are like, I'm not going to stand here for you to do the brushing because my paw hurts, or they are not okay with our presence. For example, in case you just adopted a doggy and they were abused and they are not happy about us brushing them, and in case the hair situation is not crazy, then you can split up the brushing in smaller sections. In case they have really matted coat, then we really need to make that haircut, because, and even in case the doggy is not happy about it, because their health is at stake. So we really need to make sure we are picking a care plan based on the doggy's hair situation, based on these 2, 4, 5 points. And based on this and the amount of time and money that parents want to spend on this, in case they are getting it done by a groomer, that's also a factor to count in whenever you are getting a care plan worked up for the doggy and the parent. So these are the few points I highly recommend you to keep in mind and note on the Doodle mat map. You're going to find the little drawing about the doggy all sides, and you can mark which spots have mats, tangles, and how easy or bad they are. and you can come up with a care plan whether you want to do it or you want to get it done by a groomer in case they are available.